Good morning, everyone! 前回に引き続き、英検でる順パス単を最後まで読んでいこうと思います。やる気が湧くので、チャンネル登録と高評価もよろしくお願いします。Solidify. Its content was venerated by many younger athletes as the greatest athlete of the century. Protocol. Official protocol made it difficult for the king to comment on the improved plan. Rein. She was a strict mother who kept a tight rein on her children's behavior. Retailer. During the economic recession, many small retailers went bankrupt. Rhetoric. The politician used emotive rhetoric to appeal their audience. Senate. After years of serving in local government, he was able to win a seat in the Senate. Shipment. The customs official used dogs to check all incoming shipments for concealing narcotics. Shrub. In general, shrubs are taller and need less care than other kind of plants. Sophistication. He claimed that alien beings have visited the Earth was met with widespread skepticism. Sophistication. The sophistication of the young boy's language amazed everyone at the party. Throne. When the young prince came to the throne, he soon showed him up himself to be a wiser man than his father. Next is fundraising. A big fundraising dinner was held to sign at the hospital. Nausea. One side effect of the medicine was an intense feeling of nausea. Vaccination. These days, many false rumors about the danger of vaccination are being spread. Post-war. In many Western countries, social democratic parties won power in the immediate post-war period. Prestigious. Entering a prestigious, successful career. Residual. After the strike was over, there was still some residual ill feeling between workers and the management. Tangible. Although the cut in tariff was welcome, it has yet to have tangible effects on the economy. Tribal. In some African countries, tribal chiefs continue to play a role in government. Unavoidable. Any radical policy on inflation is likely to have an unavoidable negative consequence. Vertical. In some areas with limited space, farmers have begun growing plants on shelves arranged in a vertical fashion. Immoral. Many people feel that it is immoral to put the interest on wealthy inventors before those of hard-working employees. Inspiring. The guest speaker made an inspiring speech in which he urged graduates to give something back to society. In spring, the guest speaker made an inspiring speech in which he urged graduates. Oh, I already said. Misleading. Writers often use statistics in a misleading way to paint a false picture of the world. Qualified. Everyone was surprised when the most qualified candidate was not accepted for the job. Okay, next. Slack. He pounded her hammer on slack nails in order to secure the roof of her house. Unconstitutional. The judge declared the freedom of the speech. Unilateral. At one point, Britain came close to an unilateral renunciation themselves. Little grew in the arid desert, so local people had find other ways of making a living besides farming. Astounding. The astounding cost of house in the capital was the result of an influx of wealthy foreigners. Asexual. Although we think of reproduction as involved, uncons- oh, I already said. Astounding. The astounding cost of houses in the capital. Oh, I already said. Okay. Canine. Some canine diseases are actually very similar to those which affect human beings. Cardiopulmonary. Cardiopulmonary disease are especially common among smokers. Conscientious. She was a conscientious worker who always carried out her duties on time. Radically, the new boss radically changed the company approach to selling its products. The scientist persisted until he found a cure. Undertake. The soldiers undertook the responsibility to defend, confiscate any cell phone found on school premises was automatically confiscated. Mock. The comedian made his name by mocking politicians and other powerful fingers. For many people, the band facilitate. I recently found a new book that facilitates my grasp of quantum mechanics. Press allows people to easily disseminate the written word. Detective tried to gather more evidence to corroborate the woman's accusation. Curb. The mayor retard. Government red tape has retarded progress on economic reform. Avert. In her embarrassment, she hides from my gaze. Curtail. We were forced to curtail our ship due to a family emergency. Demean. Feminist group complained that the advertisement demeaned women. At an early age, the kid was betrayed into private life. Casual. When at first I refused to help, she began to cajole me in a sweet tone of voice. Blur. The drizzling rain blurred my vision, making it dangerous to dispatch. The company promises to dispatch all orders on the day that they are received. Dissuade. A social worker might admonish. When a man admonished the teenagers for smoking, they just laugh. Traverse. Unexpected to traverse the terrain. Veto. The president vetoed the congressional bill cutting welfare the poor. School is over, students like to linger around. uh, replenish. Once a week, the uh, farmers drive to town to replenish their supplies. Disparage. Even members of the scientific community disparage the cloning of a sheep. Stray. Visitors who stray from the path sometimes accentuate. The politicians try to accentuate the positive achievements to the government. Exterminate. The wolves were eventually exterminated by settlers in the area. Retort. The comedian could always retort in a witty way to any of an eruption. Monastery. Many Buddhist monasteries in China were built high up obedience. As history shows, blind obedience to authority can lead to terrible crimes. Occupant. The occupant of the apartment behaving to okay, I found it. The occupant of the apartment behaved in an eccentric way, shouting out comments to passing strangers. Offense such as murder were imprisoned separately. Or died. Pigment. The local cloth was dyed using natural pigments, which say that there was a strength. As an outsider, he could approach the issue with detachment and see both sides of the question. Usually does not last long. The curator created the diorama of the city center, showing how it had been 200 years ago. Before it contained few outlines line. One is line. The surgeon made a deep incision on his chest as a prelude to carrying our heart surgery. Kick out a police back from arms manufacturers and disasters. Measles. Measles is just one of the diseases that has been brought under control by vaccinations. Microcredit. Microcredit, which means providing very small loan to poor people. Obsolescence. Rapid obsolescence. Omnivores are creatures like humans. Oh, does it right? Okay. Animals. Omnivores are creatures like humans which eat both plants and animals. Outlay. The initial outlay for establishing a dental practice is high, but the money covering well, but then she suffered a sustenance for themselves and their farmers. Okay, next is zoologist. Zoologists have been warning for some time that many species face extinction. Years of cheap employment. A wealthy graduate. Okay. A wealthy graduate had left the college a huge endowment. Verdict. The public was shocked by the jury's verdict of guilty. Haiku poets often suggest, at least indirectly, the brevity on life. Precedent. His quest was refused because there was no precedent. Okay, next is Moray announced a picnic for all employees. Culprit. After a long police research, the culprit was apprehended. Okay, next. Moray. In an effort to improve morale, the boss announced a picnic for all employees. Culprit. After long police research, the culprit was apprehended. Next is habitable Africa to all the habitable parts of the earth. Human-like. Many mascots are human-like animals that are associated with particular area or sport team. Yes. Modern medicine from disease that were once fatal. Next is irrefutable. The prosecutor said that he would provide irrefutable evidence that the accused was guilty of the crime. Itchy. The little boy suffered from an itchy rash caused by an allergy. Next is long-lasting. Stone buildings are naturally much more long-lasting than ones made of wood. Next is numerous. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong. Measurable. The researchers found a measurable difference in the level of air pollution in the area around the factory. Nebulous. Most people agree that the evidence for UFOs is too nebulous to be convincing. Next is nomadic. An anthropologist studied once of the nomadic tribes that live in Sahara Desert. Okay. Paradox. Rebellious. Many children go through a rebellious phase when they become teenagers. The reductionist accounts the consciousness consciousness that lexical terms. Reliant. The medical expert argued that people today have become too reliant on painkillers. Next is self-servant. Self-centered. Like many older people, he regarded the younger generation as spoiled and self-centered. Next is self-employed. Self-employed people are often suspected of paying less tax than those who work for companies. Next is soggy. The ground was soggy after the heavy rain, and she decided to wear boots to work. Subservient. He adopted a subservient attitude to his superiors and an arrogant one to those below him. Taxonomic. He was not interested in taxonomic questions such as the proper definition of a species. Unbiased. It is important that the media report the news in an objective and unbiased way. Unproductive. The meetings between the two sides was unproductive and they broke up without reaching an argument. Dense. It was difficult to get through the dense undergrowth. Next is okay. We come to another level. Yeah. Okay. Next is defame. The journalist was accused of defaming an honest businessman. いいね、ありがとうございます。Contemplate. His heart sank at his contemplate the pile of work that lay on his desk. Adorn. To the soldier home, the station was adorned with flags. Sunglass deflect. The sunglasses are designed to deflect UV rays of direct sunlight. Emphasize. Although he emphasized with the protestors' feeling, he did not support them. Embezzle. The banker was eventually sent to prison because he embezzled funds. Impair. His hearing was impaired from years of playing in a rock band. Mar. Yesterday, tornado marred some of the field in the countryside. Pledge. A medieval knight was required to pledge allegiance to his road. Assimilate. Immigrant workers sometimes found it difficult to assimilate into society. Permeate. Anxiety about the future had permeated every part of the company. Reside. After the couple retired, they reside in a small seaside town. Withhold. The government was accused of withholding information about the disease. Shatter. The baseball shattered the huge picture window of a nearby house. Diversity. Many farmers diversity crop to hedge against unpredictable weather and climate. Capitulate. The official threatened retribution if they did not capitulate to his demands. Arguments. In order to my income, I worked several part-time jobs. Acclaim. His films were acclaimed for their honesty and realism. Prosecute. There was not enough evidence to prosecute the suspect. Anoint. In traditional ritual, the new king was anointed by a priest. Lurk. Discarded child said that a monster was lurking under his bed. Accost. As he walked past a bridle. The girl bridled at a suggestion. She was envious for her friend's success. Tack. After the first clinical trial showed the ineffectiveness of the backpack. Agility. The old man surpassing agility as he climbed the mountain. Allure. The young actress could not resist the allure of Hollywood. Next is affinity. Although we had only met each other twice, we felt a great affinity for each other. Hype. He refused to believe all hype about the new invention. Benchmark. The program was said to have set a new benchmark for documenters. The program was said to have a benchmark for documents. Integration. Racial integration of school was eventually mandated by the American government. Integration. Racial integration of school was eventually mandated by the American government. Libel. The tabloid went bankrupt because so many people won legal suit against it. Annotation. The scholar's annotation to pray were full of errors. Asylum. The refugees applied for political asylum as soon as they landed. Efficacy. One must often doubt the efficacy of the United Nations in world governance. Acrimony. The problems were finally resolved, but not with. The recent ordinance against smoking in public places had pleased many citizens. Discrepancy. An author found a large discrepancy in accounts of the bank transactions. Hazard. The dump site was disunity. People in community learned from his father-in-law. After the accident was itself a huge task. Exodus. During the Civil War, there was a mass exodus of the villages into neighboring countries. Next is menace. The politicians say that young hooligans were becoming an increased menace to society. Next is curfew. The government imposed a curfew in an attempt to prevent further protests. Next is what is next? Incidents. Authorities were concerned about the next is curfew. Oh, I already said. Singe. After sure that he had passed. Welcome back. Okay, next is depiction. Some felt that the film depiction of the ordeal. She found that giving evidence in trial was a terrible ordeal. Pageant. Every year, a pageant is held to celebrate the town's history. Parameter: the budget imposed on the project. Okay, next is cramp. A clamp forced the star player out of the game as a limb. The scientists study the body and limbs of the new animal species. Dissolution: the issue of slavery once threatened to cause the dissolution of the United States. Next is in Asia particularly, one is expected to treat the elderly with difference. Advent: the advent of television changed forever the way news was reported. Dividend: the shareholders' guidance at the end of the year. Connotation: understanding the connotations of foreign words can be difficult. In the company's fortune as new. Next is primate. Observation of human children reveals behavioral similarities to other primates. いいね、ありがとうございます。Conspiracy. The dissent was accused of organizing a conspiracy against the government. Bankruptcy. A series of rash investments brought the company to bankruptcy. Imposition. The sudden imposition of the new tax was widely resented. Absurdity. He described the policy of paying farmers not to grow crop as a bureaucratic absurdity. Apathy. While I often enjoy my students arguing with me, I cannot tolerate their political apathy. Okay, next is alignment. After the minor car accident, I needed to take my car in for a wheel alignment. Annihilation. The world is threatened with annihilation from nuclear weapons. 高評価ありがとうございます。Altruistic. The businessman said his donation had been altruistic in nature. Defunct. The factory has long been defunct and now was a ruin. Ubiquitous. At certain times of the year in Bali, tourists seems to be ubiquitous. Convert. The convert activists of the CIA have been roundly condemned. Clandestine. Their meetings always had to be clandestine and belief. Austere. His austere expression and manner believe the kindness underneath. Next is clandestine. Okay, what is meaning of this? Okay, their meetings always had to be clandestine and brief. Next is exquisite. The Lady Spring dress is of exquisite design and quality. Affluent. As the population grows more affluent, it's naturally begin to buy more luxury goods. Next. Adept. Because the spokesperson was adept handling difficult questions, he was able to answer smoothly. Belligerent. The tone of his voice sounded unnecessarily belligerent given the circumstance. Next is aloof. Some of his colleagues resent his aloof attitude toward them. Next is ambivalent. He felt ambivalent about his promotion because it would involve more work. Next is endemic. The government was plagued with the endemic corruption in its bureaucracy. Next is pervasive. Amid the pervasive gloom, the news of the royal wedding was very welcome. Diffident. He seemed so diffident, so his speech was all the most impressive. The appeal dead. The valuable papers were found in a dilapidated hut in the garden. Next is what is Princeton? Just walking on a Princeton white carpet made him uncomfortable. Next is fiscal. Leaders of many nations in the world ignore their fiscal uncomfortable. Next is 高評価ありがとうございます。Auspicious. His first match was an auspicious start for the spring tournament. Next is petrified. The girl was petrified to find a snake on her pillow. Elusive. Many readers found his argument in the book somewhat elusive. Docile. The farmers say that the dog was usually docile but could attack if threatened. Next is Next, what is next? Pragmatic. Despite his strong religious convictions, he took a pragmatic attitude toward the issue. Salient. The most salient aspect of our trip was the incessant rainfall. Next is obvious. She was so intoxicated that she seemed oblivious of her actions. Addictive. Once he started gambling, he found it addictive and unable to stop. Yeah, be careful to do gamble. Next is amenable. He seems more amenable to compromise after today's meeting. Astute. That film critic is famous for her astute and acerbic commentary. Next is blatantly. Even some of the president's supporters were blatantly critical of him. Next is baffle. The students were totally baffled by the final examination question. Embroil. Through no fault of his own, he became embroiled in a scandal. Enumerate. The consultant enumerated all the problems the company had. Recede. As the war receded into the past, people began to analyze it more objectively. Plead. The girl pleaded in vain to be allowed to attend the concert. Clump. He could see the bacteria clumping together under the microscope. Tangle. The extension cord became so tangled that it was useless and had to be thrown away. Beguile. He was beguiled by the attractive saleswoman into buying a complete encyclopedia set. 最後までご視聴ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録と高評価よろしくお願いします。